The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to Gate City Chronicles. I'm Kevin Avard, your host, and today we're going to be talking with a college student who recently visited Albania. And welcome, Mr. St. Germain.
Yes.
All right, Jacob.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, I think you've been on the show before.
I have, yes.
All right, and you were talking about robotics. And
Yep.
Is that what brought you to Albania?
Actually, yes. So the school that I attend, Worcester Polytechnic Institute, they have a project your junior year that you can go anywhere in the world. They have 45 different project sites, and my project in particular was actually implementing a robotics competition in Albania.
Did you choose where to go?
Yeah, so your sophomore year, you apply to a different, any place you really want to go. So that was one of the places I applied. It's different, unique, so.
So this had to do with the robotics. Now, was it at the universities? Was it where was it at?
It was in a technical high school in the center of Albania, Tirana, the capital, which is the only robotics program in Albania. So that was kind of cool.
Interesting. What did you think of the culture?
It was very different from here. It's kind of why I went, though. I wanted to get a unique perspective on things, kind of see things from a different light. And the culture there was very, very accepting, very welcoming of us here. There, they really loved the fact that people were,
Interested in the community, yeah.
Exactly.
What about the culture, not the culture, but the language barrier? Was that difficult to work through or process?
So Albanian is definitely a very challenging language. So that was their main language, but a majority of the students were able to speak English. So that was definitely, it was a little bit of a challenge, but nothing that we couldn't, work around. And there was also a professor there who kind of reiterated what we taught.
So you had an interpreter and whatnot. You obviously must have taken a tour of some,
Yeah.
Now, did you just tour the city as a tourist, or did you tour some of their robotic places of education? Obviously, they're located in one area, but there must have been something that interested you there.
Yeah, so we started, we got a tour of the city, which was very cool and unique. Lots of different types of architecture, lots of different influences. So it was cool to see where everything was. The school itself, we got a tour of, and it was actually a little bit larger than the high school that I attended, which I thought was funny.
Really?
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that.
Yeah, you wouldn't. It was not something I was expecting. I expected a single building, kind of like my own, but they had lab spaces and different mechanical engineering buildings. So it was cool to see that. Definitely.
Did you feel as though they were up to the times?
So definitely there were some things that were lacking. They had some older machines, but the way they put it was, it's not broke, we're not going to try to fix it or, get something new.
Right.
But also you could definitely tell the economy there is a little different than ours, I would say it's developing. So it's just something that kind of impacted day-to-day life there. So
when I visited Europe a few years back, I noticed that they use different kind of plugs than we do.
Yeah, they do.
So was that? How did you work with that? Or did you have to?
So we actually had to bring adapters and stuff for that, but that was something we didn't think of going there. So we brought all our our different adapters and stuff for robotics, and then it didn't work. So we're like, we have to buy adapters.
Oh, that's interesting. I went to was a Radio Shack before I went to. I went to France, then Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
In Germany, and they had this kit where they had every kind of adapter you needed.
Yep.
And lo and behold, we needed it. It was
crazy.
It was a good thing we thought ahead, but being in robotics and electronics and stuff, so you guys were kind of at a standstill until you figured it out.
Yeah, so we also had to bring the parts there because the shipping times for a lot of things was like months for motors and different
So you're going through customs,
Yeah.
and you get all these little electric
Batteries.
batteries and really unique little tools.
Yeah.
And so come over here, right? How was that?
Yeah, it was interesting. They were wondering why we had all this stuff, but I had been used to it because I had to fly. It wasn't international, but domestic, to California with stuff like that. So
Yeah, but that's home,
Yeah.
right? That's one thing. But going across seas, right?
Yeah.
Go through customs, so you had to get a visa and all that kind of stuff.
we actually didn't need a visa for Albania, but I did need a passport.
You didn't need a visa, really?
No, I think it was up to 90 days you could stay there without a visa. So that was really
interesting.
Yeah, they're outside of the EU, so they don't really have. The regulations are a lot different, and just kind of less strict, I guess you could say.
Interesting. Yeah. So, was there a group of you, or just you?
23 other students, and we had 6 different projects that we were all working on. So mine, of course, was robotics, but there's other teams that were working on raising awareness for pollution in one of the rivers. There's also a team looking at pharmaceutical drug waste, kind of what they did with that, a bunch of other things. So
How they disposed of the waste?
how they dispose of the waste,
and how
yeah.
that impacted the environment? and
Yeah,
stuff?
so their project was actually interesting because there are regulations there on how you can dispose of waste and where you can do that, but a lot of pharmacies don't necessarily follow that.
Yeah.
So they had to go around interviewing people, and people aren't going to tell you that they're not, obeying the law.
Right.
So a lot of them were very defensive and stuff. So that was an interesting project for them to look into. But
Yeah, that is
cool.
interesting, but there is an environmental impact. I know that you along the, I think it's the Merrimack River. There's waste goes into
Yeah.
the river, but it's clean waste.
Yeah.
But you can't necessarily get rid of all the stuff that gets flushed down the toilet.
Exactly.
Whether if there are different hormones, different
Yeah.
steroids, and things of that nature that get processed, looks nice, crystal clear.
yeah, it impacts like the drinking water there too.
Exactly.
They were saying so you can't actually drink from straight from the tap. They don't recommend it. They say to drink bottled water.
Well, that's a worldwide crisis, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So your project was specifically on
Robotics, yeah.
Is it the same thing that you brought here?
Kind of. So we had to kind of make do with what we had for parts there. So we ended up kind of used some old computer cases for machine that into different types of material for the students. So we had to kind of make do because some of the other parts were a little more expensive and above their budget. So it's kind of similar to that. We kind of based our project and our competition that we had at the end on that. So it was interesting to see.
What was the feedback that you were getting?
The students wanted us to go teach even faster. They were really awesome. Yeah, they were motivated, very passionate about robotics. This was something that was an extracurricular activity for them, and they would spend 8-10 hours a week on these kind of things, and it was crazy to see. So
Their minds were hungry for this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, how did you feel when you saw that? What was that all about?
Well, to me, it made me think back of the way I was in high school and how it wasn't like that all the time.
It wasn't learning; it was fun.
Yeah, exactly. I also thought of how these students, it struck home for me because they were there in Albania, and they talked about how the opportunities there for jobs and other things aren't as big as they are here. And just because I started out here, I had a better opportunity or a better chance to do these things. So that kind of hit home for me because it was very made me think about.
There are a lot
how
of
lucky
restrictions
I am.
on them, and yes,
Yeah.
how you are very lucky. But what they can take with this knowledge is, can they start their own plant there? Or
So that's one of the problems that the country is facing. They have a lot of emigration, so a lot of people leaving the country.
they
yearly.
learn, they leave.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's a huge age gap between people in high school and then 50-year-olds. So a lot of them plan on leaving, and they don't really want to stay because the way they put it, they feel like they have no future there. But it's tough because there's a lot of great minds there and a lot of smart individuals that just don't feel like they have the ability to stay and
And have a bright future.
Yeah.
And was that across the board, or did you feel that? Yeah.
The majority of the students were saying that, and that was something that we had a lot of research and looked into things ahead of time, kind of see what we were going into and the type of situation it was, and we found that that's pretty much the case. So
Yeah, which is, you look at that with kind of sanguine. It's like, well, yeah, here we're going to share this technology with you, but you're not going to leave it and build something at home to make your lives better. You're going to hopefully come to America, find a good job, or go to the EU
Yeah.
or somewhere and find something that's more prosperous. So, what was, was it a depressed society?
So yes and no. It wasn't depressed. They were very excited. They were very happy, and they were still driven. It was just more of a kind of like everyday kind of thing. Like, oh, we're just not gonna be here. It's not something that they even thought about doing. So I thought that was interesting. Could have been because it's just something that's accepted.
Right.
Kind of one of those things. But yeah, it was a little sad for us going in there and seeing that. It's like, then they leave their family behind. They oftentimes won't see them for like years. So it's something really interesting and kind of
It makes you think.
Made me
doesn't
think
it?
a lot. Yeah.
Makes you think. How did you pay for this, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. So actually, it's part of our school like plan. I guess you could say the WPI plan.
What is WPI?
It's Worcester Polytechnic Institute. So yeah, it's the school that I go to, and they have it. It's kind of built in to tuition, but also additionally there is additional costs like airfare and things like that. So originally I wasn't going to be able to go away, but we ended up getting I ended up getting a scholarship to go away from the school, which was really awesome. So
Nice.
So it ended up being all expenses paid, which was
Scholarships.
great.
Oh, wonderful. And of course, your rich Uncle Dick
Yeah.
probably helped you out,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
I'm waiting for him to say something. Anyway, so now are you going to write a paper on it? Are you going to?
So-
What are you going to do with the information that you have?
Yeah, so from the entire experience, we actually had to write a paper on kind of the impact of competition on the classroom and how that affected the students. So it was a 91-page paper that we wrote in 8 weeks.
So you collaborated with your other students,
with
right?
3 other students. We were doing this. So that was a crazy experience.
So how did that work out? I mean, how did you coordinate that with the other students in order to come up with some type of unified front?
Yeah. So there's 4 of us. We all had our roles in the paper and everything in general. I was the main kind of writer and organizer of the entire thing. But it was cool because it really showed me how to work with other students who had different ideas, different knowledge bases. So one student was a computer scientist, the other one was a robotics major, and then of course I'm an electrical engineering and business major. So I had a lot of different things going on there and a lot of different ideas being tossed around. So one of the guys he took like the main lesson planning role, kind of streamlined that. But for me, it was mostly the writing and the organizing.
So when you graduate college, say some big entrepreneur says, listen, you've been to Albania, and you know what, I saw your interview, and you seem to have a burden for the people there to some degree. I mean, you felt sanguine about them not staying home and building an infrastructure. Would that be something that ever interested you?
So going into this, I knew that I wanted to do something with people and helping people using whatever skills that I have. And being there, it really showed me a lot of different people and a lot of how lucky we are here. So yeah, this is something that I think I don't know, possibly could do someday down the line.
What do you think would help them? Would a manufacturing base or some type of foundation there, or a few foundations that would create something?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I know that there's been a lot of different entrepreneurs that have been going there and starting businesses, and that's something that really has helped the economy there. I think the hardest part is keeping it sustainable. So I'd say maybe
you gotta sell your passion for the
exactly.
people and for the locals in order to stay home and have the same vision.
Another thing is too, the tourism isn't that huge down there, and they have.
It's not on my #1 list.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But going there and seeing some of the views, the mountains, the different hikes that we took, that was gorgeous and something that's definitely not utilized very often. But they're making a push for that. They're building an adventure park down there. They're doing a lot of cool things.
Which it requires electricians
Exactly.
and robotics and whatnot. So what other things do you see? I mean, obviously there's a culture there. What type of culture is Albania?
So it's very much based on, I'd say, leisure time, something that I wasn't really used to. Being here, everything's go, 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 do everything because it's just the way it is. And there it was very relaxed, lots of coffee shops, lots of people, sitting, taking walks, just talking.
Everybody on their cell phones?
No, actually.
Just kidding.
Yeah, the cell phone service there is a lot better than here, though, which is funny. But
Really?
yeah, they have.
Interesting.
I was very surprised by that.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So people are very gregarious. They sit and have coffee. They talk. They,
Yeah.
They're
It's very
family.
personal. So that was something that I wasn't expecting. Also, extremely, they have a lot of pride in their country and their history, which I thought was really cool. Something that they all kind of, took pride in where they've come from, because they've definitely come a long way. They had their country was ruled by communistic rule up until 1991. So,
Are they worried with Putin and all that?
I'm not 100% sure of the politics that were going on there, but that was something they like to talk about, their own politics and our politics as well, which was interesting to be there during the election.
Were you there after the presidential
I
election?
was
or
there
during?
before, during, and then after. So it was interesting to see people's reactions. Most of them were okay with the result. They were just shocked.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. That's interesting. So with your paper, now will that be part of your resume as you go on to future things? You're still in your junior year?
Yeah, finishing my junior year this year.
And you were there basically during what, the fall season?
Yeah, it was October 20th till December 19th. So I was there we have 4 terms. So we have 4 different sets of classes that we take for 8 weeks, 7-8 weeks, and then we get a break. So that was one of my terms we spent down there. So.
Are you planning any other trips in the future?
I hope so. I hope I get to go somewhere soon.
Is that part of the curriculum?
You can. Your senior year, you also have another project, but usually that you stay on campus and work with a company around here to do some kind of thing.
Somewhere on the Bahamas maybe would be a nice place to go.
Definitely. I originally wanted to go to New Zealand during this time because
Really?
I'd be there, right during the
That's
winter
a long,
here.
long
Oh,
flight.
very long flight.
Yeah, interesting. So yeah, I'd love to go down there. They recently had a whole bunch of earthquakes.
Earthquakes, yeah.
Yeah.
There was also one in Rome, or in Italy, right near. We were kind of close, but it's interesting.
Yeah, they're happening everywhere.
Yeah.
So as you're going to have some pictures, obviously, as we're showing what we're talking about. What was the most fascinating thing that you saw there?
I'd say the coolest thing I saw was there was this one hike that we did. Went from one of the villages across through this little pass down to another village. So we ended up going through the Albanian Alps, which was gorgeous.
Was it scary too at the same time?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there was sometimes.
Don't look over too far.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Yeah, I have a GoPro, so I had it on my head during the entire hike, and there's some parts that my mother was like, "What? You were hiking there?" Like, I ended up showing it to
Mom,
them.
I was wearing my helmet.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Right.
There's one point where you go right over the hill, and you're just looking around, and you're in between these two sets of mountain ranges, and you're just looking out, and the wind's coming, and you're like, okay, don't want to take one wrong step, but
Right. Yeah. Don't go at nighttime.
yeah, not at all. No, we had a guide too, so.
Did all of you take that?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I think 23 of us did. One student didn't, but it was an amazing hike.
What kind of food did you eat?
Oh, lots of types. The biggest thing that they have there is like fresh vegetables, fresh meats. So a lot of they called it cow meat, but it was a lot of like little bits of steak, and just really good, really good.
Different portions than you're used to at home.
Oh yeah.
Any fast food
meals.
chains out there?
The only one that they had was KFC.
Oh,
I don't know why, but that was the only one that they
KFC.
had.
Interesting.
And I guess you could Cinnabon. I don't know if that counts, but that was there too.
Were you able to tour the universities there, or the university?
So we got to see their technical university, which it was interesting. Again, their classes are more theory-based, not really anything hands-on. A lot of theory. So that they didn't have a lot of labs. They had just a lot of classrooms. So they were pretty nice, but obviously they didn't compare to here. But
Right. Well, I mean, you have what you have.
Yeah, exactly.
To work with.
exactly.
That's interesting. So when you do graduate, that'll be in 2000. 19?
18, yeah.
18.
Yeah, well, at the end of 18, yeah.
Do you have your sights on anything here at home or in the States?
Not exactly sure. I'm applying to internships this summer, trying to get my foot in the door somewhere. But really, I know that I want to obviously at first get a job. Go somewhere, do something that I like. But we'll
Yeah,
see.
Now, you're not going to be just an electrician.
No.
You want to be an electrical engineer.
Yeah, yeah. So that's definitely something. There's a lot of jobs, like BAE, other companies like that,
Right.
Bose, other places that I'm looking at. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure what I want to do. I know I do want to, whatever I do, work with people and use whatever skills I have to better people's lives. So
Oh, interesting. Well, it sounds like you had a really interesting trip.
I did. Yeah.
I was going to ask you one other question as far as what made you choose that school as opposed to a school here in New Hampshire?
Yeah. So looking at it, I would say, oh yeah, my family, but no, I love my family. The biggest thing was just my sister ended up going to WPI and she loved it. It's just something about the project-based curriculum that they have there. These major projects that you get to work on and solve real-world problems right away. And that was something that I didn't really see in a lot of the schools here. They're awesome schools. I applied to UNH and a couple other places here in New Hampshire, but just for me, it was the community and kind of
Solve real problems in a real way.
yeah.
And can you give me an example?
So, like, for example, our project that we did, we were looking at how robotics can be a catalyst for students learning, which was a kind of something that they struggled with in one of those schools. So we were able to take the skills that we've learned and kind of apply it to a problem. And then my senior year, I'll be working on another project with another company, depending on whatever I choose, to solve a problem that they have in their workplace or something that they want to develop just while I'm still a student there, which I think is incredible and awesome.
So you're working on your bachelor's,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Do you plan on going for a master's?
I'm not sure. It depends. Something that
You
I've
want to get
considered.
into the workforce?
Yeah, exactly. And then I know some companies sometimes will pay for your master's if that's something that they offer. So it's something
What
to
are you
consider.
going to look for in a company, though?
I think the
I
biggest.
mean, you mentioned some big
yeah,
names,
yeah.
BAE and
Yeah.
numbers, but what do you want them to offer you?
I think the company culture is something that's huge. I want to work in a place that, for me, it's different every day, but also is set towards some kind of goal. So a company that has, an idea of what they want to achieve.
You want to be part of that vision.
Exactly. And I don't want to just be, mindlessly doing these tasks. I want to be part of something bigger, which is something that I've.
Engaged,
Yeah.
do some research, try to solve a problem,
Exactly.
have people that I can work with in
Yeah.
order to develop that, and then once that's done,
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the joy of
Yeah.
life for you.
Yeah. I just want to.
That's your happy spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's a good goal. All right. So, how can people get in touch with you? You say BA is watching the show right now. How would, or somebody that's interested in talking
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah,
Are you willing to talk to
Yeah,
businesses
definitely.
now?
I'd love to. Any opportunities we welcome. I have my email. We can end up putting up. Or
Sure,
giving
if you like.
Yeah. And
your-
also
What's your email?
jacobstg@comcast.net.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so if there's some headhunters out there looking for you,
Yeah.
this is a good way to.
Yeah, definitely. Find me.
Interesting.
Also, I'm on LinkedIn as well, so they can find me there.
So you're definitely on social media.
Yeah.
All right. You're already in the
Yeah.
professional field. Good.
So
Any final thoughts that you want our viewers to know about Albania, about Worcester Tech, or is it Worcester?
Worcester Polytech, yeah.
Yeah.
Just one, if you're looking for an awesome school that has both the theory and the practice behind it, WPI is amazing. Can't say enough about it. I love it. Yeah, it's been just flown by these past couple of years.
So one of the concerns about a lot, people that I've talked to in the past is, we're educating our kids here in New Hampshire and they're fleeing the state, similar to what you've observed
Yeah.
in Albania. Do you plan on staying home, staying local?
Yeah, I love New Hampshire because it's so much to offer. You have cities, but then you also have the mountains and the rivers and everything. So it's something that I plan on doing. Definitely want to stay here, and you have great minds like Dean came in here, in the mill yard in Manchester. That's working on. I think he just had something about like regrowth or tissue regrowth
Yeah.
or something with the government. So that's really cool. So
I think I've seen something on
Yeah.
it. They just do, and it all of a sudden grows, and it's
Yeah.
before your very eyes.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's
kind of scary.
Yeah, it's a
actually.
little bit. Yeah.
A little Frankensteinish to me. So, do you see any needs here in New Hampshire? Do you know how to solve our energy?
Yeah. No, I don't know the answer.
You'd be willing to work on that project, right?
I'd do anything. I love it here in New Hampshire.
Well, that's good to hear. You know, I totally relate to you when you said, you know, people from Albania, you know, they get this opportunity, they get educated, they leave, and there's a huge resource that people put into those students, and it takes flight and serves somebody else, and maybe they can send money back home, but that's not the same thing.
Yeah.
And here in New Hampshire, you know, we pay our taxes, you educate, you build the infrastructure, and then when the kids leave, you figure, you know, let's keep them home. Let's build a manufacturing base or something that will serve their needs as well as serve the population that got you there.
Definitely.
You know. So, well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Good luck, and we hope somebody watches the show and gives you an opportunity, and you graduate with high honors, I hope.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you got a story like this, I'd love to have you on the show. We'll give you an opportunity to tell about your adventures and about your prospects. And, you know, this is an easy way to do that. And this is an easy interview. So come on the show in the future if you have an opportunity. And thank you, Jacob, for coming on. All right.
Appreciate it.
Until next week, thanks for watching Gate City Chronicles. Thank you for watching Gate City Chronicles. And we want to thank our sponsor, Aardvark Cleaning. They've been a sponsor for quite a few years now, and we appreciate them being a sponsor. And if you want to be a guest on our show, contact accessnashua@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your story. Until next week, thanks for watching.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.